So my research question was on how the conflict between Pakistan and India has had an impact on the viewpoints of the Indian citizens, of the citizens of India. And to set the stage for this, I feel like it's important to go through the background and the history between Pakistan and India, because that's really where all these conflicts start. In 1947, British India got its independence from Great Britain, and it became the Dominion of Pakistan, which was East and West Pakistan. East Pakistan later became Bangladesh, but it was the Dominion of Pakistan and it was India. And it was divided based on the dominant religion of the region, which is why there were two Pakistans, because there was a small pocket of Muslims down where Bangladesh is today. And India was a primarily Hindu um, region. That's why it's still primarily Hindu today, but it was as well back then. Um, Almost immediately after both countries gained their independence, the Muslims in Pakistan killed their Hindu neighbors, and the Indians or the Hindus in India started killing their Muslim neighbors. And a total of 2 million people died from this. 2 million of the about 450 million people that lived in the area at that time. It was a little less than a half of a percent, or I'm sorry, a little more than a half of a percent. No, less than a half of a percent, sorry. Um, but that's really where the issue starts. But there's another issue that started around then, which was the conflict over Kashmir and Jammu, which are both regions in between India and Pakistan, up in the northern part of the both countries, in the northeast of Pakistan and just the general north of India. There are two regions that are claimed by both countries, but the regions don't really associate with either country. It's not like they want complete independence, but more so that they just don't really pick a side. Because both countries, or well, the countries along the border of Pakistan and India that were undecided were supposed to hold a vote and decide in a democratic way. But Jammu and Kashmir did not vote over which country to join, so they never joined a country. And both countries, both India and Pakistan, wish to control Jammu and Kashmir. And so they've militarized the region. There are small pockets of Indian militarized zones and small Pakistan militarized zones just spread throughout the region of Jammu and Kashmir. And I feel like it's important to say that the border between Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan, as well as the border between Jammu and Kashmir and India, is called the Line of Control. And it's heavily militarized and monitored by both the Indian and Pakistani military. Some terrorist attacks are really the main issue in the region. This is what has the biggest impact on the viewpoints of the citizens and how they view the other country. Um, for example, there's a place called Pulwama, I believe it's called, in militarized Kashmir, or Indian militarized Kashmir. And recently there was a suicide bomber that killed, I believe it was around 100 people, 100 Indian military personnel. They were a Pakistani terrorist group. And, after India was notified that a pretty good amount of Indian military personnel were killed in a suicide bomb, they immediately retaliated. They found out where the base of operations was, like the training area of the terrorist group, and they airstriked it. Pakistan didn't like this because it was one, on Pakistan land. It was on Pakistani land, and two, India did not get consent to bomb Pakistan. I doubt that they ever would have gotten consent, but still. Pakistan defended these people because they were citizens of Pakistan, and there wasn't enough proof to convict them beyond a reasonable doubt. And since then, Pakistan has gotten a lot more aggressive over the Line of Control, and they have since fired shots into India occupied Kashmir and Jammu over the Line of Control. There have been some studies recently, primarily by the Pew Research Center, which is an unbiased U.S. group center, that conducts polls for people around the world. They do it for a lot of countries, and India and Pakistan or not, they're a part of it. They're a part of the group of countries. And there are two primary studies that I used. There was a 2017 study and a 2011 poll. And in 2017, they got the opinions of a large group of Indian citizens. They were able to conclude that approximately 64% of Indian citizens had a strong hatred towards Pakistan, which was, influenced by the terrorist attacks from Pakistan. And in 2011, they were able to deduce that 76% of Indians felt that Pakistan was a threat to Indian security, and 45% of Indians believed that Pakistan was the single greatest threat to Indian security. And another interesting thing is, in the same poll, 74% of Indians said that they believed that mending relationships with Pakistan was very important. It was crucial to, maintain safety in the region, because one of the biggest military conflicts in the entire Middle East actually is the India-Pakistan conflict, because they have some of the biggest militaries in the region. They also have, they're some of the most populated countries in the region. India having over 1 billion people, Pakistan having a few dozen million, I believe. I think it's around maybe 80 million, 100 million, I'm not sure. But yeah, those two studies were able to prove that a lot of Indian citizens had a hatred towards Pakistan fueled by the terrorist attacks from Pakistan, without having taken in anything from any of the Indian terrorist attacks on Pakistan and on Pakistan-motivated or Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Jammu, or just Pakistan in general. Because, the media is relatively censored. It's not as censored as it is in other places, but, it's not like the Indian news corporations would like to diminish their country in any way. So they don't tell their citizens about any of the issues, any of the conflicts, anything that India has really done to Pakistan. They're more so trying to make Pakistan the enemy, and it's working. It's having an impact on the citizens.